I will kill you if you touch him.
Any victory over a giant is big. It doesn't really matter what the size is. They are all significant. And right now, Amazon Prime's master plans for Tolkien's Legendarium have just been run into the ground by a full charge from the Fellowship. Rings of Power Season 2 has just been delayed. That's the latest from Prime's minions, TheOneRing.net. So, my friends, it's time to celebrate before we dig in for the fight ahead. Welcome, everyone. I hope you're all having a magnificent day. I'm ecstatic. And if you're in the U.S., I wish you all a happy Memorial Day weekend. My best to you and your families. You know, Amazon, instead of following in Tolkien's lead and focusing on the rich lore and legacy of his Legendarium, the studio prioritized political messaging over mastering story. That's exactly why they're in big, deep trouble right now. See, Bezos has only one concern. He wants to cement his legacy. That's why he bought the rights that he did from the Tolkien estate, because he wants Amazon to be one day synonymous with Tolkien. That's exactly why they work with the publishers to put out the new Lord of the Rings set using the Rings of Power marketing posters as book covers. Disgusting. But TheOneRing.net shared that Jeff Bezos promised basically the moon to the Tolkien family.
Jeff has committed to the Tolkien family himself.
Oh my goodness.
Jeff Bezos has committed to the Tolkien family himself. 5 seasons and a spin-off minimum.
Well, you heard it there. Exactly what he promised them. But you'd have to trust Jeff Bezos to believe it. He'd have to be a man of his word. And if you ask his ex-wife, I don't think she'd say he is. But if this is your first time visiting here and you've yet to join George the Giant Slayer, I invite you, take a second and push the subscribe button down below and join the conversation. We'll have even more fun as we continue to grow. So let's get into it. Amazon Prime's puppets. The people who are in their pocket, TheOneRing.net, have some new gossip and news to share.
Folks, this is Gate 2.
At Pinewood Studios?
Shepperton Studios. Again,
Shepperton.
Amazon has made a deal to shoot at Shepperton. They are building 1 million square feet of new studio space.
Okay.
1 million square feet of new studio space to support Lord of the Rings. They've got 9 sound stages booked for season 2 of Lord of the Rings.
Right.
You know, if it was any other studio other than Amazon and Disney, because everything they touch, every franchise and IP they put their hands on, they destroy. If it was any other studio, I'd be jumping for joy as if I had just seen the Bakshi Lord of the Rings for the first time. But that's not the case. This is Amazon Prime.
Pre-production starts in September. Maybe they're going to rewrite the scripts based on what the fan reaction is for season 1.
And can you really trust them? You know what they're doing to Tolkien? Hell, look at what they did to their season 1 crew.
Because no one from New Zealand's moving over.
Repeat that sentence. Nobody that worked on season 1 is working on season 2. Period. Except for obviously the showrunners.
These are the people that they said when they started the production, your family, we're going to follow the model that Peter Jackson did with his production. Everybody who's here from the start, you're going to be here to the finish. And they had a rude wake-up call to find out not only are they not family, they're fish bait. But it gets better than that. Because of you, because of shining a light on everything that Prime did to bastardize Tolkien's Ea and Arda, you did something that pulled out a victory out of thin air almost. And now it's producing fruit.
The new gossip, the new rumors are production of season 2 has been delayed until after season 1 comes out.
Oh, good grief.
Pre-production supposedly starts in September.
Those two gentlemen, the one on the right, his name is Justin Sewell. And the gentleman on the left, the one in the hat, his name is Clifton Broadway. You heard what they said. You're going to say, George, pump the brakes there. That's just rumor and gossip. But you have to know something about TheOneRing.net. 2 things, actually. 1, I've researched them heavily. They know their Tolkien. All the people that they talk to, that they bring on, they know it through and through. That's just a fact. Period. End of statement. Which makes it even harder for me to swallow how they could betray the professor to work with Amazon Prime. Two, they work hand in glove with the studio. 90% of the rumors that they produce, meaning that they share with everybody, and 90% of the gossip that they hear, it's accurate. Always, when you go back and look at it, one video at a time, one tweet at a time. That's because they're getting it from the horse's mouth or from other outside circles that are connected to the studio. They know. And this tells us something. But you don't have to take their word for it. All you have to do is believe your own eyes, because they share something more.
That's what the studio currently looks like. It's a bunch of concrete pads. It is a construction site. They don't even have a building set up. They are nowhere near ready for production.
There's no infrastructure there at
all.
all.
There is no infrastructure. They bulldozed a farm and poured some concrete.
You're kidding.
This is what Shepperton Studios, Amazon's lease at Shepperton Studios currently looks like.
That means they're definitely not filming on that schedule. They're definitely not on that original schedule that was announced.
Wow. You can see it's a whole construction site, Shepperton Studios. Just so you know, I'm not faking this. This is welcome to Shepperton Studios. These are the 9 new sound stages, 1 million square feet, all for Lord of the Rings, and it is still a yellow tagged construction site. Look at that.
It's very strange.
Now you saw that for yourself. See, Justin was over in the UK. I believe it was on Amazon's dime when he was getting the royal treatment, so he could watch, 20 minutes of the Rings of Power. Then he could praise Prime and say how excited he was, how cautiously optimistic, how beautiful and brilliant it's going to be. But he also shot some video of the studio. And what did you see? What I saw was concrete pads. Now, I don't know anything about construction, so I called up a couple of people I knew, and they got me in contact with some foremen who deal with these types of projects. And they told me at bare minimum, if they started today, it would take anywhere, and now this is in the US, it would take anywhere from 9 to 10 to 11 months to complete. That means to flip the switch and have everybody start working. That's not considering what kind of rules they have in the UK. So as of right now, season 2 is delayed. Does that mean that Amazon can't pull off some hellish miracle with all their money and resources and get it done? Maybe. But when you listen to Justin, he's saying maybe one of the reasons that they're delaying it is so they can see the reaction from the fans for season 1. And I think that the truth is hidden right there. I think after all their failed attempts at their schemes and tricks and the manipulative marketing with the fake superfans in the UK and Spain and France and Italy, and then their next round of marketing and all the things they said and all the magazines from Vanity Fair to Variety, I think it's backfired on them. And somewhere, some bean counter probably said, you know what? Y'all are going to lose a ton of money because the fans do not support you. And it's not like it used to be. You cannot just lull even the normies to sleep with a glass of milk and put them to bed in a coma with lies. They've woken up. People are spreading the message. People are telling them the news. So you heard it, you saw it. And now you're going to say, George, wait a minute. What about if they could use other aspects of the studio? Well, there was someone in the chat who asked that same very question.
Kaylin in the chat room wants to know, and no plans to start working at existing facilities. The answer is no, because Netflix has currently occupied most of the sound stages until September or October.
Wild.
Netflix has the rest of the studio space leased out till September. So that's it. This victory belongs to you, my friends. This belongs to the fellowship that's around the world that united together with their love and respect for the professor's masterwork of mythology. Y'all held the line and said, "You shall not pass!" It's time to celebrate, my friends. And I'm going to do that by cracking open the Silmarillion. And I'm going to read the Ainulindale one more time. And then I'm going to close my eyes and see if I can't hear the great music of the Ainur. So celebrate, my friends. You have made this victory possible. And if you want to continue winning, you know just how to do that. You remember that we never bow down, we never bend the knee. Firmly, defiant. Step up, stand tall, and get busy living your best life now. Always forward. I always talk about my papu because the fact that he was my father. My biological father kidnapped me and took me to Greece, but it was my granddad who really raised me with my mom. After I was rescued and brought back to the U.S., my mother, a few months later, my grandmother took on a trip so she could have a recovery. Remember, this was a mom who had lost her kid for a year. My grandmother wanted to help her rekindle her spirit, rebuild her body and her mind so she could come back full, wholesome, and healthy. So I stayed with my granddad for about 4 weeks and 2 to 3 weeks with my Uncle Jack. So, day one with my grandfather, he picks me up after school. We get home. He had made some really cool pasta. We had watched a boxing match. He said, "Don't tell your mom when she gets back." But he pulls me aside and he says, "One thing, I looked in your bedroom. Do you know you didn't make your bed?" I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "And I saw the way you went to school, but I didn't say anything yet. You looked," he said shop shyly, which is like slob or like a little bit like a bum. "You have a uniform, but it wasn't ironed. You wouldn't put together right. Your tie was messed up. Your shoes were dirty." He goes, "Didn't you tell me you have a soccer match in like 3 weeks?" He goes, "Don't you want to win?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "But you have this long face." He goes, "I understand what you went through, but it's now time to get up, get strong." He goes, "Breathe in the air like lightning, like electricity. You're alive, enjoy it." Like, okay. And he goes, "Any problem you have, you tell Papu." So he goes, "Tomorrow morning when you wake up, what are you going to do?" He goes, "You are going to say your prayers, wash up, clean and shine your shoes. Then you're going to make your bed till I can bounce a nickel off of it. All right? Then you're going to make sure that your clothes are ironed." I said, "I don't know how to do that." And he's like, "I will teach you." And he goes, "We'll do it together. You're going to do that every day." I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "That's how you build victory. That's how you win. You build it by moving forward. Always forward. You use routine every single day. Even when you feel down with a long face, you'll start to feel better. Sometimes," he goes, "the routine, doing things physical like that, it occupies the mind while the hands are busy. Sometimes the hands are busy so your mind can be free to imagine. But you do it every day. And every day you get stronger. Even when you feel weak inside, you keep acting like you're strong. You keep repeating the routine." And he tells me about a couple, 3 weeks later, my soccer team, we had won the game, and he was really proud of me. And he said, "See what Papu says? It works, so you listen to me." And we were driving back home, and he tells me, he goes, "Now I want you to remember this. When you hit about your cousin's age, 15, 16 years old, you're going to hear a little voice in your head is going to say one morning, 'I don't want to do the bed. I don't want to iron the clothes. This is boring and it means nothing.'" I go, "Okay." He says, "Tell that voice to shut up. Papu said so." I'm like, okay. So he taught me how to forge a victory day by day, always moving forward. You create it with routine. You create it with that positive attitude. It is the same way that the global fellowship stood together with one united voice and said, "No, you will not pass. This will not be allowed. We will hold the line." And for that, I gotta say, bravo.